So in this tutorial, we're going to have a closer look at demographics, and this certainly introduces some important vocabulary. So obviously population changes is how a population changes over time in terms of its size and its demographics and its age. We use the demographic transition model, and this looks at how populations may change with development. That shows you also natural increase, which is the difference between birth rate and death rate in a country. Fertility rate is an important idea, so the number or the average number of children a woman can bear in a lifetime. And this is impacted by something called fertility period, which is the amount of time that a woman might fall pregnant. Obviously, if she's marrying younger and has limited access to family planning, her fertility period is much greater, perhaps, than women that have that opportunity of education and later marriage and access to contraception. Life expectancy, of course, comes up, and population structure, so that the ratio of male to female and the differences in age groups within a country. And this introduces dependency ratio, so the number of children, say under the age of 15 and those over the age of 65 are dependent on the active population between 15 and 65. So we use typically the demographic transition model to represent this population change. There's an activity here actually you can have a go at. And if you want to do that, just pause the video now. So these are the answers. I hope you did well. I'm going to briefly talk through these stages. So stage one is kind of not really a country now, I'd say, perhaps a very remote rural region, or even it represents a kind of indigenous population. They have a low population base, and they also have high birth rate and death rate. So a lot of children perhaps dying in their first year or their first 5 years. They have limited access to food, perhaps, poor sanitation and hygiene. And so there's a low survival rate at stage one. But stage two, you'll see here that dramatically death rate falls. And so this increases the population size. So a region, a country, perhaps an LIC here, has introduced better healthcare, advanced healthcare, perhaps improved hygiene and sanitation, and so survival rates increase. But interestingly, birth rates remain very high, so population grows rapidly. So the educational base at stage two hasn't really advanced too much. Women are still marrying young, and their fertility period is still quite high with limited access to family planning. In stage three, that educational base improves, and so the birth rate falls. Death rate continues to fall as that economy develops and healthcare is introduced, perhaps inoculation schemes against diseases. And stage four is a developed economy, and so we have a high population base, and we have much lower death rates and birth rates. Birth rates still fluctuate down at this stage, and that might be due to sort of generational fashions, where you get these mini baby booms. I always refer to the Beckhams with their large family having an influence on their generation in terms of increasing family size. Stage five, perhaps there's a falling population. There's some uncertainty about stage five. Lower birth rates and death rates, but certainly varying down at that bottom level, but populations falling. With the preference to sort of stay single, to marry much later, and maybe have no children, or just limit that family size to one. Another way of presenting population changes through the population pyramid. So, how do we interpret this? I think it's always good to start generically and describe the shape of the pyramid. This is definitely pyramid form, but a more developed economy has a kind of column shape. This is a developing country. We see this through the youthful population at the base, very wide base, meaning a high birth rate. But notice how that base narrows quite quickly. So this population has a high child mortality rate. I always ask my students, well, what is the most important birthday in your life? And many say, oh, it's sweet 16, or it's your 18th birthday. Some still say it's 21. I always remind them that the 5th birthday is the most important, because that your chances of survival past 5 are just so much greater. And so actually you see here that 0 to 4, that age group declines rapidly. So it is a developing country. But the population is shrinking right the way through here, with only a small percentage of people getting into the sort of 75 plus age group. So yeah, referring to specific trends in a population pyramid as well as its general shape is really important.